How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I had, I was kind of feel like I, got a little overwhelmed this week and feel like I was slipping a little bit away from where I was at.
Oh, it's okay. Well, let's figure out what you're overwhelmed by. I mean, one way to look at this is to see that when what is slipping away is your sense of ease and peace and calm, maybe. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, what is that really? I mean, that's how it feels. Would you say physically that's a feeling? Why would that, where would that come from?
Well, feeling like I can't handle.
You got it. That's it. Period. So whereas the state you were in before was open and it is what it is, and there was a sense of handling it, right? But it wasn't controlling. It wasn't like, it was just, whatever comes about, I will accept, and it is. So for you to lose that, what it means is that you are no longer accepting reality.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Are you recording this?
Yes, I am. Okay. We're 1 minute and 24 seconds into it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I really felt like there was many points where I could have looked at what the feeling that came up for me, but instead of doing that, I just thought I'm going to put it on the back burner.
Because I can't handle it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that feeling of I can't handle it is where those coping strategies that we're wired to respond to, that's our animal lower brain. If you feel insecure, if you feel inadequate, if you feel like you can't handle something, ultimately it is a sense of threat that manifests, and our wiring from millennia of evolution is to do something about it.
Yeah.
Whether it's, I'm going to fight this, I'm going to be angry, I'm going to be a victim, I'm going to hide, I'm going to avoid, distract, deny, pretend it doesn't exist, go into complete and total like, da, 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 everything's great, when everything underneath it all feels shaken up, right? So that piece in it that you experienced previously was willfulness to be in reality as it is and just allowing it to be. But again, that comes from a sense of I can handle it. So the moment your belief in handling things went away, your coping mechanisms showed up. So it's actually a willfulness to accept reality as it is, despite feelings, or even though you have feelings of I can't handle it. It's like, even if I feel like I can't handle it, I will allow reality to be.
Yeah.
So there's your issue, is that you are not allowing reality to be. You have something to lose. What is it? Why don't you just tell me what the situation was and we can kind of process it.
No, it was just a series of just a lot of different things I had to go to, and I felt like I was saying I wanted to be thinner.
Oh, well, there you go.
Uncomfortable, and I thought, I just felt like I had no time to myself this last weekend, so it's really hard for me if I don't have a few minutes to just kind of, so I felt like I let that just take over, and I was like, oh gosh, so yeah, I think that's what happened. All of a sudden felt like I was like, oh, I'm not liking this situation,
Okay, so explain that to me again. So you had a lot of stuff going on this week.
Yeah, just with my kids and the end of year stuff, and there was lots of activities and things, and I felt uncomfortable, and I started to go back into.
Okay, you became a victim, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. So for me, this is hard. My life sucks. This has been a terrible week. So you started to define it as a bad thing. So reality is reality. I had the same exact week you just went through the week before.
Yeah.
How did I not go back into that hell?
You just accepted.
Yeah, it is what it is. And there's going to come a point in my life where I'm going to miss this shit.
Yeah.
So exist in it. This is the way it is in our culture today, in this day and age, what goes on and where things are at and how things are. And, it's also a balance of sacrifice and, supporting your kids. And if you're going to be a victim of it all, you're creating your own hell and misery. Because it is what it is, right? So the moment you deny reality and you criticize it, you're the asshole, right? You're the one playing God, saying this shouldn't be this way and my life should be different,
Yeah.
So the denial of that reality or criticism of it, that it should be something different. But that's also paired with, oh my God, I'm overwhelmed. I have this and this and this and this and this and this. There's a reality there. But to just experience it rather than to criticize it, it's a first world problem. So there's a relativeness that you kind of lost sight of.
Yeah.
Like if this is the hardest thing you have to do in your life. So there is a ability to create context and relativity that might need to be honed and practiced. Like this is something that's new for you.
Yeah, no, I mean, I didn't feel like that day. I didn't feel like it was a burden or anything. I just felt like that just it doesn't have to be busy. I mean, it could be any context, really. It could have been anything this week. It's just I felt that I think I didn't have any time to let it, I don't know, like at all. Because this is no different, really, than another week when I felt like freedom. So I feel like I willfully didn't want to deal with it. That's what I felt.
Oh, I see that you kind of lost sight, and then this became a burden. Yeah, so it's like all this changed, and all of a sudden I'm friggin' sucking life. I hate life, Whereas before it was the same thing. Nothing's changed. It's just for whatever reason my shift of perspective is now coming from a shallow space that is really kind of tunnel vision and irritable rather than coming from a place of ease and acceptance. So what was the trigger to that? Like, why do you think that okay, see, now I understand what you're saying. You're like, here's how it was before, here's how it is now. Something shifted here. You believe it had to do with the fact that you felt there was something wrong with your weight or you felt bad about it?
No, well, I think I just was frustrated.
I bring that up only because you mentioned it a little bit ago.
Yeah, no, I did. I mean, I didn't consciously say it to myself, but I think I just felt uncomfortable, moving around and stuff like that.
That means you judged it.
Yeah, I judged it.
Okay, because there's a difference between my back hurting when I move, which is what I live in 24/7, right? Versus I'm uncomfortable in my skin. Like, I don't like it. I don't want it. I don't like it. I don't want it to represent who I am. I'm a victim of it. And the victim role, really. Victim of my own body. Okay. I don't know if that connects. Does that connect for you?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So here's what I have seen very commonly when I work with people. The initial release and freedom coming from the choice that I will never be thinner, it is initially very real and very freeing and very relieving, because you're in your home, you're in your isolation and space, so it's very easy to be free and to be loving and accepting of the body in isolation. The truth of reality is when you get into, and this is why I have people have the foresight to go, you got to be able to do this going on a cruise, being the mother of the bride or the mother of the groom. You got to be able to do this while you're dating. I mean, you got to be able, if you want this to be permanent, it needs to be permanent, not just in this moment while I'm isolated from reality and other people's judgments and criticisms, going out in public and trying to get dressed. Yeah. You got to be able to do it right now in every space, everywhere you go, going to graduation parties, going to events, going to your kids' school where all the other moms are there, and some of the moms are super hot and beautiful and wearing high heels and their makeup and their hair. You got to be your real self.
Yeah.
no matter what the environment is, no matter if it's pretentious and hooty-tooty, or you're with a bunch of people who are homeless. Who are you really? Does being in an environment with a bunch of homeless people change who you are? Does being in a room full of pretentious a-holes who really think that they're better than you change who you are? Does any environment really change what the truth is? No. You got it. And you can't even, again, going into who am I, you can't even claim that. You're just experiencing consciousness of which you didn't create. You're just a witness of what's going on. And what you're doing is you're interpreting what's going on.
Yeah, for sure.
And how you're interpreting it, you got to wonder, what is the design you're using to interpret that your body sucks?
Yeah. Well, you're using, whatever.
Thin supremacy.
Yeah, thin supremacy.
You got it. That's a belief system.
Yeah.
Because that's the only reason why you would be fat inferiority.
Yeah.
Inferior. I believe if you go into the feeling you were experiencing, would you agree that it was a sense of badness?
Yeah.
I don't know the degree of badness. I don't know the depth of that badness.
It was bad as it was before I started working with you, but it was still there. It was a lot different than, the freedom I was feeling. So I didn't even have that. I was like, how did this happen?
Well,
the signs were there too, because my eating was, I didn't binge or anything, but I felt like I wasn't really connecting with myself, like my body cues. So I noticed that as well.
Mm-hmm. Right? Isn't that crazy? Yeah. Whereas before you didn't even have to pay attention to it. It was naturally occurring. You didn't have to think about it. There was total freedom from even worrying about it. It just came naturally, and you could just go with whatever it was saying and then stop where it said to stop. It's like going pee. You just go pee when you need to urinate and you stop. And there's no thought to it. There's no mental processing. There's no criticism. It is what it is, and it's none of your business. All of a sudden it became your business.
Yeah, exactly.
So can you see the connection between feeling, so the belief of thin supremacy used to judge the body, the negative reaction to that, because if you believe thinness is better in any context, whatever the context is, if you're in that context, you're wrong, right? And the denial, I think, is the key here, because you went into denial of it. Because you could say, well, if I were to go to this environment, I'm going to a bodybuilding competition and I'm going to be up on stage, I am inferior. I'm going to be judged. I'm going to be shamed. They're going to mock and laugh at me because I don't look like all of those bronzed women who are emaciated and totally starved and on some weird type of upper. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So use that as a context. In that context, you are inferior. The problem is you don't want to accept that.
Yeah.
You're in denial. Right? The truth of it is, in a thin supremacist world, you are inferior to thin supremacists. You don't want it.
Yeah.
So does that make any sense? So that feeling of badness comes from rejecting that truth, denying that truth. What I'm telling you to do is say, yeah, you're inferior. Remember the moment you got out, that moment you went, oh my God, I'm so free. Wasn't it the moment I said, so what? You suck on a stage and being judged for that reason. You do suck.
Yeah.
Should you deny that? Should you be afraid of that? Should you feel bad about yourself?
No.
Right? So there's a moment. It's not that clear and obvious. That would be a clear and obvious experience, right?
Yeah. This is pretty
clear and obvious. Yeah. It's cut and dry. In this world that we live in, there are people who live on that stage 24/7.
Yeah.
Okay, they impose the stage of the beautiful fit body everywhere they go. Everybody's on the stage. And they themselves are on that stage, right? Constantly performing. Constantly like, look at my thighs, look at my legs, look at my calves, look at my ankles, look at my chin, look. Right? And in that moment, you were going to go on stage and you're like, I'm not going to be like them. And I'm a bad person. And this body sucks.
Yeah.
Right? So you believed it in that moment, and the truth of the matter is just go into the radical truth. What's the radical? The radical truth is, based on that concept, you are inferior. You suck, okay? So, why do you give a shit?
Well, when I don't.
Well, you do.
Yeah, I mean, but now they...
But you do in those moments. So let's go into why you did. Let's go why you did. Would you agree? And again, tell me if I'm wrong or take this conversation and run with it. But would you agree it's because you want approval? You want to fit in?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. It could be a different answer.
Yeah.
Well, go into the feeling. Go back into that moment. The moment you were like, oh, I hate my body. What is it? What was it in relation to? Was there someone there? Were these people that had seen you thinner and now you're coming out of the closet as fatter? Is this the first time they've seen you?
It was, it was just more of like my clothes. It's like, I think I told you I got all new clothes and then I was excited and then I didn't like them and I just felt it was hotter. It's been hotter. So that was probably a trigger because it always triggers me, that kind of. So I felt like I just was thinking, oh gosh, if I was just, it could be a little smaller.
Yeah, that's funny because the illusion that the temperature is going to change when you're smaller. Yeah. It's like thin people have this like air conditioning aura around them. No. I'm pretty lean, and you know what? I'm pitting out all the time. You want to know why? Because I don't have an air conditioning aura around me, period, ever. Okay?
No, I know it's true. I just, so that's where it was, and I just felt, you know.
That's the fantasizing. That's the fantasizing that is common, right? It's like thinner people don't ever breathe hard. That's a common concept. When I go up the stairs, I breathe hard.
Yeah.
Well, that's actually biologically and physiologically, that's how everybody is. Because the demand on the muscles are higher. So the oxygen, I mean, you know what I mean? It's like it's an illusion that people who are thinner don't have pain, don't breathe hard, don't fart. No, we don't fart. We have no gassiness ever. Yes? Are you kidding me? You know what I mean? It's like this weird fantasy, but the media portrays that too. So it's not like you're fantasizing is your own creation. It's a fantasy that's been sold to you. You know, how many pictures of, I feel so good about myself now that I've lost 50 pounds and my knees don't hurt and my body doesn't hurt and I sleep all night and I do all these things and I don't have any of these problems.
Yeah.
Because I've lost weight, but no, not really recognizing that they're lying to you because they're probably exhausting themselves during the day doing excessive amounts of fitness. And if they're starving themselves, they're having a hard time sleeping. They're just not going to tell you that. Yeah. I don't know. You know, there's no context under that environment. So, but you're sold this idea that, you know, when you're thinner, you're so comfortable.
Yeah, exactly.
No. It's different. There's a different physicality, but you still have gravity. You still have an organic body, bones that degenerate. You still have postural problems. You know, your neck is hurting because you're hunching over. You're going to hunch over because that's a depressed posture, whether you're thin or fat. You know, anyways, so that's part of the process is you still to some degree have those beliefs in there.
Yeah.
To some degree. Again, the degree is lessening, which is good. You're moving in the right direction. Having this week for you, having this period of time where you've started to see all the symptoms are coming back and to actually recognize like, here's how it was before, how it is now, which is reminiscent of this, of the misery you lived in for a while, to me is really, really important for you because you are getting another taste of what your life was like before. And
absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, it's good. It was, but it was, I mean, I was like, oh my gosh. And then I felt like I was not sitting with those feelings. So it's, you know what I mean?
You weren't questioning you weren't questioning where they came from. So you'd have to question those thoughts, right?
Yeah.
So if you think they're true, why would you question them? That's a waste of time.
Yeah, I guess you're right. That I did that because I thought it was true. Even though I was knowing somewhere that I was buying into that.
Yes, but you believe it's true. And that's what has to be changed, is you have to go in and question the truth of that. So one thing to also look at is, let's just say you're hot. You're hot and uncomfortable, and you're starting to feel a victim of this body because that's what you think. You're believing the body is persecuting you right now because you're hot.
Yeah, that's so true. That's what it is.
Which is freaking funny, because the body is accommodating to that heat, keeping you alive by sweating, by evaporating fluids, right?
Yeah.
It's amazing, but you're pissed off that it's hot. So would you rather be uncomfortably hot or go back into that misery? Which one would you rather? Compare the physicality to the psychological symptoms you've been living.
I feel like I've gone back into hell with this whole...
Oh, for sure. Because once you start overeating, now you feel that you have to re-lose the weight that you're starting to gain, and now it's a vicious cycle and blah. But going back to that question, really contemplate this. Would you rather be perpetually uncomfortably hot forever, or live in that hell? Which one, psychologically? Don't say what I want you to hear or I want to hear. I want you to really go into that truth and ask yourself the question, and what would you rather? Because it is a choice.
Yeah. You mean uncomfortably hot all the time?
Forever.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously...
Or
be in this hell.
Yeah. Which one's worse?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like this is worse because I feel so tangled up right now.
Well, yeah, because your whole mind is now tunnel vision. Your whole mind, that freedom of space and the ease is gone.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're not willing to be hot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Unwilling. Yeah. And you're victimized by it. Don't forget, you put yourself in a position of being persecuted. My life is so shitty.
Yeah.
I'm hot. And uncomfortable. Can you handle being hot?
Yeah.
Is it really as bad as you made it?
No, it's not. I mean, you're right. When you said it's no thin people, it's no different. They're hot too.
Yeah, it's hot outside. If it's 102, it's 102 for the thin person. It's not like temperature changes, like I said.
Yeah.
Your body has to change. It has to regulate that temperature. It's a matter of... Do you know how many thin people I know who cannot stand the heat?
Yeah.
I do hot yoga. They would never do hot yoga because they cannot tolerate the heat.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. It's a personal thing. It's like what type of pain tolerance do you have? It's a tolerance thing. It's what can you handle? You know, my mother-in-law is not a big woman. She can't handle anything really, other than room temp. Soreness, muscle soreness. Another thing that a lot of people are like, thin people will never have that. Really?
Yeah, no, I know. It's a perception of thinking everything's perfect, I guess.
Well, and not that, but just thinking everything that you experience is shit.
It's worse than anyone else.
My life is shit. You're in that victim, I'm being persecuted position. What do you get out of that? What are you getting out of it? The only way you would be in that position is if you get something out of it. It serves you. You are somehow getting off on it. Secretly, there's something that makes you, it gratifies something inside you to be a victim.
Well, I guess because I don't have to do something about it. I mean, I don't have to face it.
So it's like it's blaming the outside world for your belief in failure. So the question is, you actually believe you're a failure, in these certain respects.
Yeah, and I remember when feeling the freedom and looking at that victim role I was playing. I saw it so clearly, but then, you know.
Well, it serves you. Try to see and understand not just the victim role, but what it has served for you. That's, to me, more important, the essence of what that is. The victim role is a survival coping mechanism. That's not the problem. It's what is it serving you? What does it serve? That's what has to be surrendered. Because clearly the victim role, if you haven't surrendered what it gives to you, you're not going to let it go, really. You're going to hold on to it in certain situations where it serves you to have things. It's their fault, this fault, my body's fault, and everything sucks around me, and I'm a victim. Where does it serve, you know? For example, it's really common in, when people go to like group therapy to compete with whose story's worse. Yeah. Internally, they don't even know. So people listening to this would be like, Robin doesn't even know how bad my life is, okay? How could she even say that? My life is so terrible, So they get off on winning the my life is shitty competition.
Yeah, I see. Yeah. They don't have to take responsibility.
Well, and it gives them a sense of specialness. I'm unique. I'm special. And this is why I do whatever I want to do when I feel the need to do it. Because I deserve to do this, So there's a deservingness that goes into it. The entitlement to a destructive behavior. So it could be that you wanted to use food to hide from something, and okay, I could be so off right now, but someone listening is going to go, oh my God, that's me. So just bear with me for a second. I deserve to eat because this sucks. And by God, my body is fat and ugly, and my life has been so shitty because of it. Fuck it. I'm going to eat.
Yeah.
Right?
I can relate to that. Yeah, I can see that.
I don't know if that was this case, but...
Yeah, I don't know if it was right now, but in the past. Yes.
Yeah, it's like I deserve to do whatever I want because this bad thing happened to me and my life has been so horrible that I get to self-destruct. And I don't need to be held responsible. It's not my responsibility that I'm behaving this way. I'm going to blame my father who, abandoned me. I'm going to blame him. That's why I'm doing this. It's his fault. Right? That victim position, let's say in that example, serves your desire to behave a certain way and to not hold any responsibility for it. You're going to behave this way and you're going to blame your dad for that behavior.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, so in this case, let's go into this case. Let's try to get an understanding of what it is that being a victim of your size and weight, what is it really serving? What do you get out of it? Because you're clutching on to something you get out of it.
Well, I think that probably it's a way to hide and also not to face things, so I can just still be like stuck. I mean, I think.
Because you feel inadequate.
Yeah.
Got it. So by saying that my body sucks, it's like saying it's my body's fault that my life sucks. My body is at fault for why I'm feeling inadequate here.
That's.
What is the original inadequacy? Is it with just feeling like an inadequate mother?
I have that sometimes, yeah.
Well, what was the case this weekend or this week?
For this week, no. I mean, I felt that in the past. I don't think that really came up this week.
So I'm trying to get you to think of what was this week.
What happened this? Well, I think that.
I don't want to. You said I want to hide. I don't want to face things. So you're in essence blaming the body.
Yeah, blaming the body.
For feeling insecure.
Like I think there's a belief that I've been cheated out of, like, feeling normal. This, like, not like, everyone else, because my body's bigger. And I think there's some anger there, and that's what came up.
Okay, anger about,
my size and just
Okay,
having
so
the
anger is
struggle
a
of
victim emotion.
Yeah.
And it's an aggressive victim emotion.
Yeah.
To try to get what you want.
Yeah.
What is it that you want?
Well, I guess in that moment, just to be, thinner.
Which equates to?
I guess being accepted or, yeah.
So you feel unacceptable underneath it all?
I guess so.
I am unacceptable. That means that I am what? Inferior. I am not good enough.
Yeah.
Okay, well, to have those feelings, in order for you to have those feelings of unacceptable, inferior, or not good enough, you have to be holding yourself in comparison to a standard that you're comparing yourself to. Okay? Of course you're using body image. I think that's how you're coping though, right? Because that to me sounds like a coping for I feel unacceptable, I feel inferior, I don't feel good enough. Maybe if I'm thin, I'll feel better about that. I'm not sure that your body image is the source of those emotions. There is something else that you feel that you are a failure of.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably a lot of stuff.
Like what?
Well, I mean, like I said, as a parent, sometimes I feel like I'm not,
Okay, you're a terrible parent. What else?
I mean,
how about your feelings as a daughter?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I failed at that too. Like I wasn't good enough, so that's the original.
So you feel that I am a terrible daughter. Like I'm not the.
I don't say that. I mean, I don't really feel that. Though.
Okay, so I need you to go into your feel. I need to go into the radical feeling of. So let me use myself as an example. I felt like a total and complete failure to God and in the religion I was raised in. And not only that, but my parents, as a person, as a human being, as an individual, I felt like a loser as a sibling. I was like, no one liked me. I'm the worst on the totem pole. The dog didn't even like me. I'm below the dog in the pecking order. I must be a terror. I just suck in general.
Yeah.
Like I'm annoying. I'm annoying to people. There's something about me that is fully rejectable. So the worst part for me was the religious inadequacy and the fact that I knew without that religious approval, I was shunnable. I was an embarrassment to not just my family, but to this religion, that I have completely failed what I was brought up and raised to honor and to be devoted to. So it was very religiously oriented, and that was pervasive in my whole concept of family. So I went to body image to feel some sense of goodness within myself because I knew the body I had was a positive thing. So I clutched on to it. So do you see how my sense of inadequacy didn't come from body image? It actually came from these other belief systems and how I related to my family. Sexually, I was a piece of shit because not because I had a sex drive, but because I didn't wait till marriage.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So I'm giving you kind of the idea. And obviously, in hindsight, I have all this context to vocalize it. At the time, did I? No. I had no clue what was going on. I was just coping, right? And so I'm trying to help you conceptualize it right now so that you can give it some grace.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think from a young age, I probably, internalized that I wasn't good enough. And,
it very well could be body image. Like if that was your family's religious ideology is the way you look, it could very well be you are a total failure because you're not looking the way that they want to see you. It's a visual thing. That could be the truth.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of it, but I definitely think there was a feeling of inadequacy, from a very young age in general, where it's not capable or,
I'm not smart enough.
Yeah.
I'm not hardworking enough. I am not good enough in general.
Yeah.
So if you have those feelings within yourself, it's because you believe it's true. For whatever reason, there's reasons why. Right?
Yeah.
You know, there's always a because. So what you're going to need to do is go in and ask, if that is the truth, if you've always done the best you could, and it is inadequate, it is unacceptable, it is inferior, that is the truth.
Yeah.
Is that something you should be in shame about?
No, I mean, I always try to overcompensate by doing, and then I still didn't feel good enough.
Well, that's how because you believe, this is important. I need you to really kind of hone in on what I'm saying right now. Because you believe that being unacceptable, being inferior, not being good enough is bad. My question is it really bad if it is the truth of your best? You're doing the best you can. And it is the truth of where you're at and who you are.
No, that's why when we worked before and you said, can I say I suck at everything? That was like the biggest.
It was huge.
For me.
Because in that moment you gave it the grace of being like, even if someone thinks that you really are sucky. And what if you are inferior? You're weak, you're incapable, you don't have the creativity, you don't have the drive, you just don't have whatever it takes to do that. It's not existing. You're blank there, right? It's completely blank. So you'll always hit the mark, right? Because you don't have it. Yeah. Should you feel bad about the truth that is within you, that truth? If it is true, are you really a bad egg? Are you not worthy of being alive? Should you just commit suicide right here? Now let's do it. You suck. Get it over with, right? Is it really worth that? Are you not? So that's so the problem here in the belief of I am unacceptable, I'm inferior, I'm not good enough, is that you actually believe it is a bad thing to not be good enough. Yeah. I'm not good enough either. Someone listening to this video is going to go, Robin's a terrible person. She just told her client to go kill herself, okay? What can we do about that? We need to dislike this video, you know?
Yeah, well, that's the heart of it.
So the difference here is that I don't think it's a bad thing to be inadequate. I really don't. I'm doing the best I can with what I'm aware of, and there's a lot I'm not aware of, so I suck. I just don't think it's something I should be ashamed of, because it's the truth. It's the truth for me. It may not be for someone else, but they should be honoring their truth. I'm honoring my truth, and I'm inadequate. I'm not mature. I'm immature on so many levels. I really don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just throwing out all sorts of shit, seeing what sticks. I don't have a degree in this field. I don't have a certification in this field. I'm no clinical anything. Got a degree in exercise science and kinesiology. And I'm giving you advice. I suck. I'm not good enough. I'm inferior. I'm totally unacceptable. You know when I say that is actually true. In relation to the standards set for clinical therapists, right? I am a D. Oh, actually an F, because I'm not even certified to talk to you, right? And you paid me a lot of money. I'm some freaking charlatan, right? Snake Oils McGee over here. So do you see that where it's like, but you know what? I'm doing the best I can with the heart that I have, and my integrity is in line with my highest good and your highest good, and I have a lot of compassion, and you know what? That's good enough for me. And I'm going to do the best I can. And if it works for you, awesome. If it doesn't, you should find what does. Do you see how there's so much grace in that? Yeah. Okay, so I would love for you to give yourself that grace. I'm the only one that can do that. Can you see that I am the only one that in this situation can be like, you know what? That's good enough. Do I really need to go get a master's in psych? Do I really need to? Probably not. If I want to make more money, sure, but that's not my integrity. Do I want more acclaim? Sure, no. many times someone has said to me, you could sell a lot more books if you just had those acronyms after your name. And I was like, I just don't care.
Yeah.
Go there in your unacceptability. Is it unacceptable to you? It may be truthful to the culture we're in and the brainwashing and the programs that are around us, right?
Yeah.
But is it truthful to you?
No.
So that you have to come to that in regards to body image, in regards to all sorts of programming. Are you good enough? And if you're good enough, based on your trying to do the best you can, what happens to how you relate to other people like your father?
Well, then you just give it great.
Well, then he's good enough.
Yeah.
He's good enough.
And that's also what happened last week, too, when I was upset about that. I think that was probably how it started when I think back, because I was feeling resentful.
That means superior.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's probably how it kind of...
Yeah, you kind of got sucked back into the narcissism, right? In that victim positionality, as if he could actually do better than he is, right?
Yeah.
Just think about that for a second. If your father knew a better way to do it, where he doesn't suffer and he's not causing others to suffer, wouldn't he do that?
Yeah.
Probably,
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I mean, it seems like this is the thing that's really the crux of when where all my issues start.
Yeah, well, and if we really go there, we can see that you have a void that is empty, that you want other people to fulfill for you. And if it's not another person that you want to fill that hole up, you're trying to use body image to fill it up. Some type of compensation to fill that hole up. Because when that negative space is filled up, I can move on. Well, whose job is it to fill it up? And why is it there in the first place? Do you really have a hole in your life, or is that there based on some perception of loss and lacking? Is there really a void or a hole that needs to be filled up?
No, it's just my perception of
reality.
Yeah.
And then judging it. And there's the big hole that now someone's got to fulfill for you. It's got to fill it up. Well, maybe my body will be thinner and fill it up. So all of a sudden you're not thinner and the hole is there and you're pissed.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you really have to go into whose job is it? Is it really your father's job?
No.
Well, if you make it his job, how are you going to relate to him?
No, it's not.
Resent.
Yeah.
Like it's his, not only do you blame him for that hole, but it's his job to fix it, which means you are now resenting him for not even, number one, knowing when you need it, knowing where it's at, how thick and deep it needs to be in the void, and how the intensity of his apology needs to be this intense.
Yeah.
How is he supposed to know all that? You're the one who's living in that space.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So go into that real sense of lack and recognize the whole concept of lack comes from the idea that you are not what they think you should be with whoever they are. Some concept of culture, some concept of religion, society, school, education, groups, some concept of they. And you have to really see that it's your job to validate yourself. If you leave it up to who they are in any type of programming, you now have to meet these standards, whether it's physical standards, religious standards, cultural standards, to feel valid. It's like saying, well, my body is fat, therefore I am invalid. Your whole life is not valid. Well, if you believe that, guess how you're going to feel about your body? Victim. You're a victim. Resent the body. As if the body's withholding you. Well, is it the body withholding you or that belief system that says your body's keeping you from being accepted? Which one is it? Is it the body that's the problem, or is it the belief that your body is keeping you from this? It's the belief. Because the reality is the body's the body. It's providing you what it's been providing you since the day it was born. Why is it all of a sudden keeping you from something? Isn't it what's giving you this experience? So to say, your body is fat, therefore you can't participate. Well, it's the belief, not the actual body. So you'd have to question those beliefs. Remember when I said it's If it's true to you, there is no option. You have to question, is that really true to you? Whether the body's thin, fat, or anything in between, should it be the gatekeeper of your willingness to live? Did you understand that question?
Yeah. Well, should you allow your body to be the gatekeeper of being alive?
Yeah, freely. Opening your mind to be free in life. Do you really want the physicality of the body to determine whether you get that freedom or not?
No.
So in order for you to go back into that freedom, what contract do you need to make with the body?
Just let it be.
Well, what is it that you really need from the body to have this experience? We're going to create a condition. What is it that you really need to be okay with the body and to go into the infinite expression of what life is in this form?
Accepting it.
You need consciousness. If it's conscious, then accepting it. Yeah, so you're right. What you just said was on the target.
Yeah, so it needs to be conscious and that has to be.
You have to accept consciousness. What else do you need? Do you need your legs to walk? Do you really need that?
Oh, yeah. Well, no, you don't.
Notice how you're so easily accommodating to be a paraplegic.
Yeah.
But not being overweight, you know? So do you see what I mean? It's like, well, no, you don't. You just can adapt. You adapt in a wheelchair. We're so grateful to have wheelchairs. And there's so much easier access. There's so much to adapt. So the physical reality of the body is irrelevant. And from there, you have this infinite space of experience in a lifetime. You might be more dominantly auditory, more dominantly like heart focused. Do you really need some physical condition outside of consciousness to have this open space of reality in this form? You know what I'm saying? Like, what do you really need here?
No, I know. It's ridiculous when you think of.
Well, the radical truth. This is radical truth right now. It's like, let's go to the fundamentals of what the fuck we're here for. What are you here for? Are you here to make sure the body is going to look the way it needs to look so you can have a freedom to live?
No.
Doesn't that just seem so limiting? Like you're setting yourself up for misery by believing that shit. You're the one who's holding your body to that filter.
Yeah.
Your whole life is being filtered because it has to meet these physical standards before you're willing to accept it. So what you said around you have to accept it is the truth. The question is, what are you accepting from the body?
No, I'm like holding it hostage.
Yeah, if I shaved my head right now, did that really make an impact in my life?
No.
Not if I don't give a shit. Yeah. And I don't care about other people's perception of it.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? Like you can go blind, psychologically go blind to certain aspects. Like, I have a friend who's really, I love her. She's one of my best friends. I've got like 5 friends that I hold dear, right? And a bazillion other friends that, but there's a few that I'm very vulnerable with. And one of them is very superficial. She's so about her boobs, her butt, her body, her shape, and she constantly is you need to get Botox. And I'm just like, whatever,
Yeah.
I just don't care, right?
Yeah.
And I'm letting her be her reality, and I love the essence of who she is. But she's stuck in that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have to witness her misery getting older.
Yeah, for sure.
And feeling insecure. So right now, because she's so easily maintained this concept of beauty, all of a sudden she's having to devote more life energy into it. And now her life is becoming more limited, becoming more insecure, becoming more devoted. How much energy is she devoting to making sure that her butt stays this ginormously big and her waist stays? It becomes like, it sucks for her.
Yeah. It's the same thing as,
Well, she's kind of that, she probably didn't realize that was so important to her freedom to just be until now.
Yeah.
Even though it's like,
getting older, yeah.
yeah, to her, I remember growing up, we raised our daughters together, and Susie, my youngest, is the same age as her youngest. And Susie wanted to wear a French braid on one side of her head and let the other side completely down. So I, parted her hair, French braided this side, and she was like, okay, we're done. And I was like, you don't want me to do the other side? Susie was like, I like it. She was so cute. This was when she was like 4 or 5 years old. And Crystal, I said her name, sorry. She won't hear this, but my other friend, she was like later on that day, she goes, I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you allow your daughter. She wasn't judging me. She was like, really, like, I wish I could do that. I can't let my daughter go to school that way. She has to meet a certain standard of like put togetherness.
Yeah, totally. She was in awe that you could let it go.
Yeah. Yes. Some people would. I didn't get offended. I was just like, yeah, it's her one way to express herself. Why pick that battle? And my friend was so like, oh, why can't I do that? But she didn't see that's because you won't let yourself do it. You're stuck in your own concept of approvability in your way you look, and you're projecting that onto your daughter. How would you let her have that freedom if you don't give yourself that freedom? So here's the point, because we're digressing. The point is, what do you really need from the body if you were given an alternative? Okay, you're going to die, and let's just say you're going to reincarnate, and you're going to get another life, which means you're going to be attached to a body that is supporting that life on this planet. Okay. Are you really going to start the next life and say, I need the body to look this way and function this way for me to actually accept it and then give myself freedom to enjoy the life that it's giving me? I have to meet these certain expectations from the body for me to approve of the life it gives me.
Yeah, no.
You're so screwed.
Yeah.
You're basically repeating yourself again.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Right? I remember going through this thought because I was preparing for suicide, and I was actually opening myself up to hope. I hope I get that chance. But the first thing that came to my mind was it has to be thin.
Yeah.
And then in the moment, it was like so obvious that I was going to repeat the same misery.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I can't do that. So I kind of backed up and was like, hold on. So if I'm born in a body that is obese or overweight, I have to just accept that. What I'm accepting is other people's judgment and ridicule and limiting the limitations that it might have for me in life.
Yeah.
I might be alone. I might not have any friends. And I remember very clearly going into that experience and feeling what that would be like and thinking that's like winning the lottery compared to this life, which is so horrific and dark and isolated in my perfect body. I would rather be fat and not light. That was a very big shift because for me, it was about experiencing life, not the body.
Yeah, exactly.
The body, if you experience a body, it's pretty painful.
Yeah.
I mean, just think about how much in a day you're not comfortable.
Yeah.
Like right now, my elbows, I feel my elbows. Gravity is 24/7.
Yeah.
The experience of sight is very pleasurable. I mean, even though sometimes it's too bright, sometimes it's too dark, but in general, experience of the body is quite uncomfortable.
Yeah.
How often do you have to go pee? It's discomfort multiple times a day.
Yeah.
Now I've got, my head hurts right here. I have a little bit of a pain right back here. Should I complain about that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Right now I'm sitting with horrible posture. My neck is forward. Oh my God, I'm feeling this right here. I should be sitting up straight. I mean, it's like, do I really want to focus on that, or can I just let it be? Yeah. Of course, having a body and enjoying the body, like having sex or eating food or listening to beautiful, inspiring music. Drinking water when you're thirsty. There's something there that's like so uniquely, earth animal, right? But is that what I want the whole thing to be about? Where is inspiration and just what's the word? Just existing in this beauty because it's infinite. I'm okay if my knees hurt. I'm okay. I went for a walk today and I had to limp the first freaking mile because something was going on in my left knee. I'm alive. What do I need from the body? Do I really need it to be like I don't feel it? Should I not have any physical sensation of a body? That's the other thing you've been, I think, brainwashed by the diet industry is they make this assumption you won't feel anything. No.
Yeah, I never thought of it, but it's true. You feel like that's.
Yeah. Like you won't even experience your body when you're thinner. No, you do. You still shit. You still fart. You still get gas at times. Your head still hurts, Yeah. At times.
Yeah.
I'm still tired at times. My energy's low at times. My energy's high at different times. And you know what? I'm okay with whatever it is. I'll adapt because my mind wants to stay open to experiencing what it is. Whatever. I don't know. So getting stuck on what does my body do? What is it not giving me? Can you see how limiting that is and how limited you were this week?
Yeah.
And why then the stress around food would increase? Because you think by being thinner it will go away, that you'll have this open space again when you're thinner.
Yeah.
So all of that pressure is on restricting food, and what ultimately manifests is this feasting before famine behavior because of our inherent wiring to feast before famine.
Yeah.
You see how that, it's just...
Yeah. Even if you're not really planning on dieting. Yeah.
You're still feasting because the inherent to the idea I should be thinner is I should be restricting. I shouldn't be eating this. I'm eating bad food, good food. There's all this programming that you have installed. It's been installed, right? And the only way for it to not actually run is for you to not want the thinnerness and not want what you get out of the thinnerness. It's not about being thin. It's about you not wanting to be approved of for that reason. It's not a matter of saying you have to get rid of not wanting to get approval. It's a matter of I don't want approval for that reason, and I want to approve of myself. So not only is it I don't want to have to, I do not want to rely on someone else's approval to feel good. That's one. But I don't want to have to rely on that specific program to feel good. It's not just someone else's approval. It's yes.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that's something bigger for me in some ways than others.
Well, and the one thing that they discuss, right, in this whole body image stuff is that it's an illusion that if you're thinner, it's self-approval. But is it really self-approval?
No, it's totally not. It's not.
It's because it's a program. It's not your program. It's a program's approval that you're using by choice, right? So you're not really approving yourself. You're using a program to define if you're approvable or not. So you're still using you're dependent on someone, an external concept of who you are to then self-approve. So when you go into the truth of what's there and you're like, well, all I have is this innocent, childlike kindness. Well, if that's all that's there, is that approvable to you? If your answer is no, you're going to have to compensate.
Yeah.
So you have to go into your own approval with the truth, not your own approval with some concept you're holding on to. It's, can I approve of myself as it is in reality, rather than approve of myself when I meet some standard or expectation given to me by some concept. That right there is the definition of autonomy, the willingness to approve of yourself based on the reality of what it is within yourself that you can't even claim because it's just consciousness that you're experiencing at random, right? Spontaneously, I'm here and I'm experiencing this, and it occurred the moment I was born, and here we are, we exist, and what do you have to do with this besides the fact that you've just been run by programming? Okay, am I just speaking in tongues here? What's going
No,
on?
not at all. I just have to go and sit with this and re-listen to it because I'm thinking, it's a lot.
Yeah, I think you do. It really comes down to, I think, for you, the role, how you want to relate to the most intimate relationship that you actually are experiencing, which is the one between your experience as the witness of life and the life that the body is spontaneously handing to you.
Yeah.
So, in other words, between you and the body that you're in.
Yeah.
If you're going to be a victim of the body that you're in and the life that it's giving to you, what's the likelihood you're not going to be a victim to anything? 0. You're going to be a victim of everything. If you're a victim of the life of the body that's giving you, right?
It's like you're flailing it.
Yeah. Everything is going to be, if you cannot accept the truth of the body that you're in, you will not accept what body will you, what relationship can you accept? Unconditionally.
Nothing.
Correct.
Yeah.
If you cannot accept the body that is giving you consciousness and this experience here, if you cannot accept the body unconditionally, what makes you think that you're going to have any other relationship that is loving and unconditional?
No, it's not possible.
It's not possible.
Yeah.
So let's start there.
Okay. This is really good. Thanks, Robin.
You're welcome. Let's go ahead and schedule the follow-up.